How's it going, guys? Here we are with the Simp League Season 3 Week 5 match against Make Stall Great Again. We're currently 3-1, and my opponent is 2-2. And he has a very threatening team that has a lot of bulk. Really bulky teams is something in general that I struggle against. So this matchup isn't the greatest for me, personally. And then just to add icing on the cake, he also has Annihilate, which is an evil demon Pokemon and is probably the single best Pokemon in the entire draft pool right now. So yeah, this week's matchup is not looking good for us, but I'm certainly going to go down swinging, so let's take a look at what we brought. First up, we have Grafaiai. This is going to be an interesting utility option versus Annihilate. The main idea is to damage it indirectly so as not to boost Rage Fist. That's going to be our main Annihilate strategy for this week. So the most important thing is going to be to Toxic it right away. A Toxic Annihilate has a hard time being effective with Bulk Up. Yes, it can still Drain Punch to recover its health, but it is going to be pretty limited in that aspect because the longer it stays in, the more the toxic damage is going to accumulate. So it's going to be put on a timer still. And if I can time it, if I can read its moves correctly using some of my other utility moves like Encore and I have Taunt elsewhere, then I can sort of reliably predict what it's going to go for, and then I can hopefully dance around it just enough that it'll eventually succumb to the Toxic. It would also be pretty nice to Toxic Alomomola as well. Blissey would also be kind of nice, but it likely has Natural Cure, so it's not going to be that effective. And Knuckle Stack is almost definitely not going to be toxic due to its Purifying Salt ability. Like I said, we also have Encore on this thing. One of the big problems with Annihilate is that its stabs have pretty much perfect coverage. Nothing resists both Ghost and Fighting, except for exactly the Ghost and Normal combination. If we can lock it into one move, then that gives us like a starting point to sort of play around it. If it gets to the point where Annihilate snowballs, it's pretty much unbeatable for me. It's usually like a bulk up, specially defensive bulk up set. And even if it terastallizes, like it becomes extremely difficult already. I don't have any moves on this team that are super effective against fire. It was really hard to fit something on this team that can handle everything. I'm likely going to have to rely on passive damage, which is pretty annoying because it gives it a lot of turns to do stuff. And the fact that it has Drain Punch also makes it really annoying because it's just going to keep recovering its health. We do have Black Sludge for recovery. We don't intend to terastallize Grafaiai here, so there's no real risk in us losing health from not being a poison type anymore. We can switcheroo this onto a bulky Pokemon to build up residual damage. Getting this off on something like Annihilate or Blissey or Alomomola or Knuckle Stack would be really nice. It'll turn the helpful leftovers that they're likely holding into something harmful. They'll be damaged by 1/8 of their max health every turn instead of healed by 1/16. Super Fang is pretty useful against Tinkaton. I'm expecting a max physical bulk Tinkaton to come. It's a really good Xianpao switch in, probably the best on his team, besides like maybe a Lomomola. And Super Fang is a good way to ensure that we get lots of damage off on it. Tinkaton getting weakened by Black Sludge would also be pretty nice, but I do have to be careful because I only have one Black Sludge, so there's only one thing I can switcheroo it onto, so I have to play intelligently there. Next up is Chen Pao. This is going to be our main offensive threat. So far, it hasn't really gotten to do anything this season, but hopefully that will change this week. Maybe I should have brought a Spec Sandy Shock set instead to help deal with Terrifier Annihilate, but I think overall this might be better. I think I have to run Heavy Duty Boots this week. He has a lot of hazards on his team. He has potential spikes and toxic spikes on both Meowscarada and Quagsire, as well as Stealth Rock on Quagsire, Tinkaton, Blissey, Annihilate, and Knuckle Stack. So he has a huge amount of hazards on this team. I have Slowking, which can clear toxic spikes by being a poison type, and I do have Defog on my Corviknight. And even though I'm bringing Toedscruel, it doesn't have Rapid Spin, so I don't think I have like enough removal on this team for my liking for me to not bring Heavy Duty Boots with this level of hazards. Crunch and Ice Spinner are pretty obvious stab moves. Ice Spinner hits things like Meowscarada and Noivern and Quagsire, and then Crunch hits pretty much everything else. Terra Dark Crunch hits like a truck, obviously. We have enough speed to outrun a timid Noivern and a jolly Meowscarada, which are the fastest things that are slower naturally than Xianpao. We are, like I said, we are walled by a max defense Tinkaton, but we can wear it down. It doesn't have any recovery outside of leftovers. If we can potentially knock off its leftovers or trick it Black Sludge or something like that to limit its leftovers recovery, we can slowly chip it down over the course of the battle. Sacred Sword does like a third to it. I almost ran Ruination as a fourth move to beat the Tinkaton switch, but it's definitely not worth. It's only really stronger than Sacred Sword if it has like over 60 health, um, 60% health. And Haze is a last ditch fourth move if Annihilate gets like really out of control, if it sets up a lot of bulk ups or something like that. I can make a crazy guy play of clicking Haze in front of it to sacrifice Chen Pao, to hopefully give me another shot at it. The problem with this is our main win con, and if we do so, then the role of the win con is going to have to fall to probably Florges. And if that happens, the battle might get really, really long. But if that's my only way to win, so be it. I think this battle is either going to be 20 turns or 200 turns. That's my prediction. Anyways, next up is Florges. This is going to be a defensive Noivern answer. A Specs Terra Normal Boom Burst is a 2-hit KO only on a double max roll. In all other cases, we take Boom Burst pretty well. We could also switch into Frostmoth fairly well, but if it has Ice Scale, it's impossible for me to hit it back. Maybe I can stall it out if I Toxics it beforehand or something like that. Like we can use Wish and Protect to stay healthy, and also to support Calm Mind. Once Pokemon like Blissey and Clodsire are gone, this can potentially Calm Mind sweep. But the problem is getting rid of them first, which will be a lot harder without Qianpao. If we end up losing it because we use Haze or something. This is EV to outspeed a 0-speed Annihilate. My main expectation is a bulk up set that is running max HP and max special defense. A neutral Moonblast does a little bit less than half to especially defensive Annihilate, but if we're at +3, then we can KO it before Terrifier. Next up is Toadscruel. This is our super evil Knuckle Stack answer. The idea is to first trap it with a Wrap, and then we Toxic it, and then we knock off its Eviolite, and then after that we continuously spam Giga Drain until it's freed from Wrap or until it faints. The Covert Cloak item means we don't have to worry about getting Salt Cured. What Covert Cloak does is it protects us from secondary effects of Pokemon's attacks, and this includes the residual damage effect of Salt Cure. It'll make us so that we won't have to worry about that. The main thing I'll have to worry about is Iron Defense Body Press. I take 16 to 19% from an unboosted Body Press. Knocking off its Eviolite will allow me to recover 13% with a Giga Drain, and hopefully after that it'll be locked into Recover pretty much until it eventually faints. So the reason why this works is because normally Knuckle Stack is immune to being status because of this Purifying Salt ability. However, we have Mycelium Might, which means that our status moves are going to go last in our priority bracket, but they ignore the abilities. So this lets us bypass Purifying Salt in order to get a Toxic off on the Knuckle Stack. I could run Taunt to prevent it from recovering or Iron Defensing, but I don't really have the room for it. 48 special attack EVs lets me 2-hit KO a physically bulky Alomamole with Giga Drain. And 64 speed lets me outspeed any Frostmoth. This lets me get a knockoff off on it before fainting. So potentially this could help us. Obviously if it's Quiver Dance, then we can't outspeed it. But something to remember is I have to remember that I cannot click Toxic in front of Frostmoth, because Mycelium Might is going to make it go last, and then it's just going to obliterate me with Ice Beam. And then the rest of our EVs are just going to go straight into Physical Bulk to help us against the Knuckle Stack. We're running a Lax Nature on this, which means that I maximize my defense, but I don't lose out on any of my other offenses or speed, because I kind of want them to be at the thresholds they're at. If a Lomomola has Ice Beam, it does 36 to 43% to us, and then we recover 40 to 47 with Giga Drain back. The Lax Nature also lets a knockoff do 28 to 33 to Frostmoth. If it happens to be in range and like it's not boosted, then I can like pick up a KO with it. To be honest, I could even potentially Terra Fire and then live a hit and then get 2 knockoffs off, or even try to Toxic it. This is another potential option. And next up is Corviknight. This is going to be our main physical defense check to a lot of things. It pretty much walls Meowscarada. A Choice Banded knockoff does barely less than half with leftovers. and we shrug off pretty much everything else. It's also okay into Annihilate. If we still have leftovers, we can tank 2+3 Drain Punches, or we can tank 2 neutral 150 base power Rage Fists, or we can tank 2+2 100 base power Rage Fists most of the time. It's like a small chance to KO us. Likely, it's going to have Defiant, and it can instantly skyrocket its stats. So like we do have to be careful. Like it could potentially even get it to +6, which can be really, really scary. We're EV to outspeed a 0 speed Annihilate, and then this lets us taunt it, potentially, so we could stop it from clicking bulk up, or even if it has something evil like Rest, we can stop it from doing that too. Something to worry about is it could also have taunt for us, but we are EV to be, if it has like a little bit of speed and it has taunt, then it can like shut us down completely, which is a problem. This Pokemon's main job is to come in and then tank a hit and then pivot out, basically. Tools like Taunt on this, and Encore on Grafaiai, and Switcheroo on Grafaiai, and Toxic on Grafaiai will likely be the way to beat Annihilate. We're gonna do this low and slow, basically. Next up is Slowking. This is my best Frostmoth answer. Assault Vest can let me tank pretty much every hit. A +3 Ice Beam is a very low chance to 2-hit KO. Ice Scales is an annoying ability, which halves the damage it takes from special moves. So we're actually running Fire Punch on this. Fire Punch is a 1/3 chance to OHKO Frostmoth, which is really nice. Basically, we can just get huge damage off on this, or if it's chipped a little bit, we can pretty much KO it. There's also Clodsire, which is annoying. Earthquake is a 2-hit KO on us, but we do have Zen Headbutt and Future Sight. Zen Headbutt does 43 to 50, and Future Sight does 44 to 51, both to a full specially defensive Clodsire. Luckily, we naturally outspeed Clodsire, so if we need to, we can get a hit off. We can even Terrastalize into a flying type on the Earthquake to avoid it. Ice Beam gives me another option for Noivern if I don't want to use up Florges, if I want to like keep it healthy, if I want to go for a Florges sweep later. Ice Beam is an easy KO on a non-terrastalized Noivern. If Annihilate is locked into pretty much anything but Rage Fist, Slowking can come in also, and I think getting a Future Sight off on it will be pretty nice. Future Sight is like our main like big damage move on this team that isn't Chien-Pao. So yeah, that's pretty much the team. Let's see if we pick up a W. See you guys.